I'm Noah, 29 male, and she cheated on me, so I ruined her wedding. It's not a story I tell lightly, nor is it one I ever imagined would be my own. Isabella, my fiancée of 2 years and my partner for 5, was everything to me. We planned our future meticulously, a cozy home, maybe a dog, and certainly, a wedding day filled with joy and promises. She was a marketing manager, bright and beautiful, and I, a software engineer, loved her with a quiet devotion. But beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect life, a storm of deceit was brewing. One I was tragically slow to detect. The first subtle shift I noticed was Isabella's sudden obsession with her phone. It was always with her, often face down, and she'd jump whenever a notification buzzed. I remember one evening, she was in the shower, and her phone lit up with a text preview. It was from a contact named D with a message that read, "Thinking of you, can't wait for Friday." I chalked it up to a new work contact, perhaps a male colleague, and dismissed the "can't wait for Friday" as an innocent work-related excitement. My mind, innocent and trusting, didn't even consider anything else. Then there was the growing coldness. Isabella, usually affectionate and eager for our quiet evenings together, started pulling away. She'd complain of being tired, of needing alone time. Our intimate moments grew sparse, her touch less warm. I attributed it to stress from her demanding job, or maybe just the usual pre-wedding jitters. I tried to be understanding, giving her space, thinking I was being a supportive partner, but looking back, I was enabling her secret, providing the perfect cover for her clandestine activities. A third, more significant red flag came from a friend. My cousin, Sarah, ran into Isabella at a coffee shop on a Saturday when Isabella had told me she was attending a marketing seminar out of town. Sarah mentioned seeing Isabella laughing loudly with a tall, handsome man, looking far too comfortable for a mere business acquaintance. When I gently brought it up to Isabella, she instantly became defensive, accusing me of spying on her. It was just a quick chat with an old university friend, Noah. Are you seriously going to be jealous over that? She snapped, her eyes flashing. With a coldness I hadn't seen before, her anger felt so real, so righteous, that I immediately apologized, ashamed of my baseless suspicions. The man's name, she casually mentioned, was Daniel. That name would soon haunt my every waking moment. My world, built on years of shared dreams, was about to come crashing down. Despite the growing unease, I desperately clung to the image of our future together. The wedding plans continued, each detail carefully chosen to reflect our shared love. Isabella gushed over floral arrangements, debated cake flavors, and sent me endless photos of possible dress styles. Her enthusiasm for the wedding was almost convincing, masking the truth of her deceit. I found myself pushing away the unsettling thoughts, attributing them to stress, or my own insecurities. However, the instances that hinted at a deeper secret became impossible to ignore. Isabella's phone became an extension of her hand, taken even to the bathroom. She'd switch off her location sharing, claiming her battery was low, or that she forgot. Her excuses for late nights grew more elaborate, involving last-minute client dinners in distant parts of the city, or mandatory team-building events. My guts screamed, but my heart, still hopelessly devoted, sought only plausible explanations. One Saturday morning, Isabella told me she was going for a yoga retreat with some colleagues. She packed a small bag, kissed me goodbye, and drove off. A few hours later, out of a morbid curiosity I couldn't resist, I checked her car's GPS history. It showed her driving directly to a high-end boutique hotel across town, then staying there. Not a yoga studio. Not a retreat center. A hotel known for romantic getaways. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen, a cold dread seeping into my bones. I decided to confirm it. That evening, I drove to the hotel, my heart a lead weight. In my chest, I sat in my car across the street, watching, praying I was wrong. Around dinner time, I saw them. Isabella, radiant and laughing, emerged from the hotel lobby, hand in hand with Daniel. Not just a friend, not just a colleague, they looked like a couple deeply in love. He wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close, and she leaned into him with an ease and affection she hadn't shown me in weeks. They got into his car, a sleek, expensive sports model I recognized from old social media photos of Daniel. They drove off to a fancy restaurant, and I followed, a ghost in my own nightmare. I watched them from a distance, through the restaurant window, holding hands across the table, sharing intimate jokes, their heads close together. Daniel pulled out a small velvet box. Isabella's eyes lit up as she opened it. He slipped a ring onto her finger. It wasn't just an affair, it was a second engagement. My fiancée, the woman planning a wedding with me, was engaged to another man. The world went silent, then crashed down around me. My carefully constructed life had just been revealed as a tragic, elaborate lie. The rage, cold and precise, began to build. The sight of Daniel slipping a ring onto Isabella's finger, watched through the window of that restaurant, felt like a physical blow. The world tilted, blurring at the edges, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe. My fiancée, the woman I had built my entire future around, was engaged to another man. The audacity, the cruelty, the sheer, unimaginable depth of her deceit. It was a betrayal so profound it shattered me to my core. I stumbled out of the car, the cool night air doing little to calm the inferno raging within me. I didn't confront her that night, I couldn't. The shock was too overwhelming, the pain too raw. I drove home in a daze, the city lights a blur. My apartment, once our shared sanctuary, now felt like a mausoleum of broken promises. I spent the night staring at the ceiling, the image of their smiling faces, her new ring, burning behind my eyelids. Every memory, every shared laugh, every I love you felt tainted. A cruel joke played at my expense. The next morning, the haze began to lift, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. The tears had stopped. What remained was a quiet, potent fury. I knew I couldn't let this go. Not after 5 years, not after an engagement, not after the blatant disrespect and the mockery of my love. She had meticulously planned this double life, smiling in my face while building a future with someone else. My pain demanded more than a quiet breakup. It demanded a reckoning. I started by gathering every piece of incriminating evidence. The GPS logs from her car, detailed timestamps of her work trips that aligned with hotel stays with Daniel, screenshots of her affectionate texts to D now. Undeniably Daniel, and a discreet video I managed to take of her and Daniel at the restaurant, capturing the moment he put the ring on her finger. I even found a shared online photo album between them, filled with intimate pictures from romantic getaways and family gatherings I knew nothing about. She had been living a complete parallel existence. I didn't storm in screaming. That's what she would expect. That's what would give her the power to manipulate, to play the victim. Instead, I waited. I kept my face calm, my voice steady, even when my heart was a bruised, battered mess. I cooked her favorite meal, watched a movie with her, and listened to her talk about wedding details with a chilling, artificial smile. She had cheated, lied, and smiled. I would smile back. And then, I would systematically, publicly, burn her wedding and her double life down. The calm before the storm was the most terrifying part. The days that followed my discovery were a surreal ballet of quiet deception. Daniel was now a constant phantom presence in my mind, his existence mocking every shared moment with Isabella. She continued her charade, her lies flowing effortlessly, her discussions about our wedding feeling like a cruel theatrical performance. And I, in turn, perfected my own act. The loving, unsuspecting fiancé, waiting for her to slip. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The calm, icy fury that had settled over me was my shield and my weapon. I didn't tell a soul. Not my closest friends, not my parents, not even the mutual friends who were already excitedly planning for our wedding. My silence was a calculated choice, a way to maintain the illusion of normalcy until I was ready to shatter it completely. The urge to scream, to lash out, was immense, but I channeled it into meticulous planning. Every detail of her betrayal was filed away, cross-referenced, and prepared for public consumption. My software engineering background, with its emphasis on logic and problem-solving, became my unlikely ally. I systematically organized the evidence, the higher-resolution screenshots of Isabella and Daniel from his social media, the GPS data, the specific dates of her work trips that corresponded to their romantic getaways, the video of the second engagement. I even found a few snippets of conversation on an old voice recorder from a time she had accidentally left it on. Moments where her hushed tones mentioned Daniel and our secret. The sheer volume and irrefutability of the proof were staggering. The toughest part was watching her. She'd talk about our future, her eyes sparkling with what I now knew was a false sincerity. She'd discuss our wedding venue, our guest list, even our first dance song. Each word was a fresh stab, but I kept my composure, nodding, smiling, playing my part. I needed her to feel completely safe, utterly confident in her deception. Before I pulled the rug out from under her, I spent hours researching public records, cross-referencing names, and subtly gathering information on Daniel's family and professional connections. I learned about his prominent parents, his seemingly flawless reputation, and the significant social standing of his family. This wasn't just about exposing Isabella. It was about exposing them both, ensuring their public humiliation was as profound as my private pain. The wedding date, now ominously close, became my deadline. It was the stage she had chosen for her new life, and it would be the stage for her downfall. The clock was ticking, and with every passing minute, my resolve hardened. Fueled by the memory of her casual lies and her engagement ring, mocking me from her finger. The wedding invitations arrived. A cruel, mocking testament to Isabella's duplicity. Isabella and Daniel request the honor of your presence. The date was set, the venue chosen, a grand estate in the countryside, promising a picturesque fairy tale ceremony. My invitation was tucked away, a souvenir of my impending revenge. The irony was palpable. While I was receiving my formal invitation, I was also perfecting the unveiling that would turn their dream day into a nightmare. My plan was intricate, multi-layered, designed to ensure maximum public exposure and undeniable proof. First, I created a series of anonymous social media profiles, carefully curating them to appear as concerned well-wishers or former acquaintances. On these profiles, I began to subtly share snippets of information, blurred photos of Isabella and Daniel, cryptic posts about secrets revealed in the wedding industry, vague hints about a marketing manager with 2 engagements. I wanted to generate a buzz, to plant seeds of doubt before the main event. Next, I focused on the tangible evidence. I created a discrete, high-quality video compilation of all my proof, the GPS logs overlaid with her fake excuses, the texts from D, with their affectionate content, the video of Daniel putting the ring on her finger. I even found a clip of Daniel's social media post from over a year ago, celebrating 1 year with my amazing Sarah, clearly indicating a long-term, serious relationship. I hired a professional videographer, telling them it was for a documentary project about trust, to edit the raw footage into a compelling, undeniable narrative. The final video was devastating. My final act before the wedding was to prepare the delivery method. I acquired a small, portable projector and a discrete sound system. I also printed out physical copies of the most damning photos and the save. The date for Daniel and Sarah's wedding, ready to distribute. The day of the wedding arrived, bright and beautiful. A stark contrast to the storm I was about to unleash. I arrived early, dressed impeccably, blending in with the other guests. My heart hammered in my chest, a mix of apprehension and exhilaration. I saw Isabella, radiant in her wedding gown, walking down the aisle towards Daniel, who beamed with self-satisfaction. Their happiness felt like a personal insult as the ceremony reached the vows. The air thick with false promises, I made my move. I discreetly set up the projector and activated the sound system, connected to a hidden speaker. The lights in the grand hall flickered, then dimmed, and a collective gasp swept through the guests as the large screen behind the altar, meant for a slideshow of their happy memories, burst into life. It was my video. The intimate photos of Isabella and Daniel. The GPS maps, tracing her work trips to his home. The texts, and then the undeniable footage of Daniel proposing to her, followed by his social media post about 1 year with my amazing Sarah. The sound of their loving conversation from the voice recording filled the room, chillingly clear. Gasps turned into murmurs, then outright shouts. Isabella's face, once radiant, turned ashen, her jaw dropping in horror. Daniel's eyes widened in panic, his smile vanishing. The whispers grew louder, accusations of cheater and liar echoing through the elegant hall. Their carefully constructed facade, their fairy tale wedding, was now being exposed as a monumental fraud, piece by agonizing piece. Chaos erupted in the opulent wedding hall. The projector continued to play the incriminating video, its relentless truth echoing through the horrified silence that followed the initial uproar. Gasps turned into furious whispers, then shouts, as guests, friends, and family began to process the undeniable evidence of Isabella and Daniel's deceit. The save-the-date cards I had scattered, now being picked up and read, added another layer of devastating confirmation. Isabella, frozen at the altar, her face ashen beneath her veil, looked like a statue of pure horror. Daniel, beside her, paled, his eyes darting frantically around the room, searching for an escape, for a way to stop the relentless flow of truth. His parents, seated in the front row, stared at the screen, then at their son, their faces a mask of shocked disbelief and dawning shame. Isabella's own family, particularly her mother, let out a choked cry, covering her mouth with her hand. "This is a lie." Daniel finally stammered, his voice weak, trying to sound outraged. "This is a deranged stalker." But his words were drowned out by the rising tide of murmurs and accusations. A cousin of Isabella's, someone I recognized as being particularly close to her, stood up, trembling with rage. "You lied to me, Isabella. You told me Noah was crazy. You told me he was controlling." I emerged from the shadows at the back of the hall, walking slowly down the aisle, the projector still running, the video still playing on the screen behind them. Every eye turned to me. I stopped a few feet from the altar, looking directly at Isabella, my face calm, devoid of any visible emotion. "No, Isabella," I said, my voice cutting through the lingering noise, clear and steady. "I was never crazy. I was just the one you were cheating on, the one you were lying to, the one you were planning to abandon for this man, while still planning a wedding with me." I gestured to the screen behind them. "Every lie, every secret, every stolen moment is right there. The double life you so carefully built is now exposed for everyone to see." Isabella finally broke. She let out a raw, guttural cry, her eyes locking onto mine, filled with a mixture of hatred and absolute despair. Daniel, seeing that there was no escaping the truth, grabbed her arm. "We need to go," he hissed, trying to pull her away. But the guests weren't just shocked anymore. They were enraged. Voices rose in unison, shouting questions, demanding answers. The officiant, bewildered and horrified, stepped away from the altar. Isabella's bridesmaids, who had been standing stiffly, began to whisper amongst themselves, some looking at her with disgust. The wedding, meant to be a joyous union, descended into complete chaos. Arguments broke out amongst family members. Friends confronted Isabella and Daniel, demanding explanations. The caterers stood frozen, the music stopped. Daniel, realizing the depth of the public humiliation, practically dragged Isabella out of the hall, their grand wedding ruined, their faces etched with absolute defeat. They ran past me, but I didn't flinch. I just watched them go, my smile, cold and knowing, finally matching their past deception. Their perfect wedding, their perfect facade had burned down. And I, the cheated, the lied to, was the one who lit the match. The aftermath of Isabella and Daniel's ruined wedding was a whirlwind of consequences for them. The story went viral within their social circles, amplified by the sheer audacity of the public exposure. Photos and videos of the chaotic scene, some taken by other guests, flooded social media. Daniel's family, mortified by the scandal, quickly distanced themselves from him, and his career as an investment banker suffered irreparable damage. Isabella faced similar ostracization. Her reputation as a marketing manager shattered. She lost her job, and the friends who once adored her turned their backs. Their carefully curated lives, built on a foundation of lies, had completely collapsed. The laughter I had heard from them in my darkest moments was definitively replaced by the silence of their public disgrace. For me, the initial rush of vindication gradually gave way to a profound sense of closure. The burning anger subsided, leaving behind a quiet strength. There were still moments of pain, a lingering sting from the betrayal, but they no longer consumed me. The process of exposing their truth had forced me to confront my own pain, to process the years of deception, and to ultimately shed the weight of a false relationship. I focused on my work as a software engineer, pouring my energy into new projects, finding solace and purpose in creation. I reconnected with friends and family who had been genuinely worried about me. They offered support, not judgment, and their understanding helped me heal. I allowed myself to grieve the relationship I thought I had, acknowledging the sincerity of my own love, even if it had been misplaced. I learned invaluable lessons. I learned to trust my instincts, to recognize the subtle red flags I had once ignored. I learned the importance of honesty, not just with others, but with myself. I also learned that true justice isn't always about revenge, but about exposing the truth, allowing the consequences of deceit to unfold naturally. Life post-Isabella, slowly but surely, began to flourish. The emotional space that her lies had occupied was now filled with genuine connections, self-discovery, and the pursuit of my own happiness. I began dating again, cautiously, prioritizing transparency and genuine connection over superficial charm. It was a different kind of love, built on solid ground, free from the shadows of a double life. Isabella and Daniel were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered existence, a consequence of their own choices. And I, Noah, walked away, not a victim, but a survivor, stronger and more at peace than I had ever been. After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories. We are all human. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon.